My brother's forgiven me. He, Dr. Hung, Brother Numsi has forgiven me. Dear brother, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah!
Welcome to another episode of Brother Noomsi. This is episode number 7. I'm here again with my co-host Daron Dixon, and we have a special guest in the building, Mr. Melake Whyte.
Good day, good evening, good night, as we say here on the island. Good night, good night.
On the island. So tell us where you coming from real quick.
So I am coming from St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, enjoying life.
Enjoying life. Welcome, welcome. So Melake is one of my good close friends from high school, way back when. And
right.
you know, I'm pretty sure most of everybody can attest that, from elementary school to middle school to high school and college, you only have a handful of friends that you still stay in contact with, you would consider be your close friends. And Melake is that one of those close friends for me. So I appreciate you, brother, for jumping on and blessing us with your presence this evening.
My brother, I appreciate it. As you said, as we are, maturing and continuing to mature, you start to think about the years in which we have known each other versus the years we haven't. And we have far exceeded. So like I said, I've known you the majority of my life, and we have been friends and good friends for the majority of that. So I'm most definitely thankful for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And, Daron and I had the pleasure of serving together as we're just coming off of September 11th. So, there's most definitely a connection between the three of us. So I appreciate, giving me the opportunity to come on and talk with y'all.
Absolutely. So, as everybody know, there's no real rhyme or reason of what we'll be talking about sometime. Mostly it's about movies and TV shows. And really, Daron, what you got going on? What movies and TV shows or even Melake, which y'all watching, which I've seen over the last couple of weeks?
I'll jump on first. I've been watching Dark Wolf on Prime, which is the prequel to Terminal List with Chris Pratt. Very good show, I think, so far. Military oriented, of course. It has let me know that I have a slight bit of PTSD. Because when some of these action scenes are going on, like my hands are sweating, I'm ready to jump in there. I'm like, hey man, watch that corner. I got their back, I got their six. So I was like, man, I might need to go talk to somebody at some point. But yeah, it's a good show so far.
It is a good show. I've been watching the same thing. I think I'm ready. I think they got another 1 or 2 more episodes left in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very good. It's a good show. I was confused actually in the last episode that I watched where, man, I forgot the guy's name, the main character.
Taylor Klitsch. I don't know what his real name's Taylor Klitsch.
Yeah, the person he's playing in the show got shot in the back, even though he had plates on or whatever. It confused me that he still lived. So maybe you can highlight a little bit about like him getting shot in the back like 3-4 times and he still lived.
I mean, he got some broken ribs for sure. Actually, we just went to the range not too long ago and we got some older plates. They're expired, so to speak. At least the rating on them say that they're expired. So we shot them just to see, you know what I mean? Like test them out because everybody's carrying them around. And although it didn't 100% penetrate it did put a dent, where the bullet would have came out. So like, was that concave instead of convex? I don't know, whichever way, right? So that definitely would have been in his back. You know what I mean? Like, so the plates are meant to break apart as they get shot. So that essentially the bullet hits it and it disperses that energy from that round, but it shatters that plate. So the more you get shot, the more that plate's going to break apart. So he theoretically could be fine as long as it's hitting in multiple different places. But if they're hitting that same point, like one of them going to penetrate for sure. So yeah, that's the basic science education of the wearing plates.
I'm a non-military guy, so I had, I was wondering like what happened, like how's this dude still walking around when he just got shot 3-4 times in the back like that? And to your point, also, you said that Josh shot some old plates. My question also
Mhm.
is, does it matter how like the distance that you are when you're shooting those plates? Like he got shot in close range. It wasn't like far away. Like, so I didn't know if that takes into account of how that plate actually breaks.
Yeah, I mean it would, and Melody, you can jump in here as well. It definitely would, but sometimes it depend on the round, because it doesn't have the time to get to the maximum velocity because it is so close. Like that could actually be a benefit to him as opposed to if it was like 100 meters around, because essentially there's something called rifling that goes on with your weapon. So when that bullet comes out, it's spinning. But sometimes like the faster it spins is going to depend on the length that it travels and all that type of stuff. And then there's also like when it first comes out, it goes up and then it'll eventually drop back down. So there's a whole lot to it that could play a part into being shot close range versus being shot from a distance, especially if it's like a rifle as opposed to a handgun.
Yeah, and I've seen there's videos on YouTube. Matter of fact, it pulled up on my feed the other day of a guy shooting at different things. He was shooting at ballistic windows, and to his point is it depends on it depends on the distance. It depends on the type of round, whether you're talking about 5.56, 7.62, 50 cal. So all the different caliber of the type of rounds that are being fired make a difference. And what Daron was talking about is actually the reason why I stopped watching a lot of military movies. The one that did it for me was the Marine with John Cena.
Mhm.
After the first five, I think it's 5 or 7 minutes of that movie, there's a scene in there where he is in a room. He has an AT-4, or we call a rocket launcher, right? And he's surrounded by these individuals. He fires off this rocket launcher, right? And there's so many things that's wrong with just like, first of all, you're in an enclosed space. And anybody who served know the first thing they tell you is when you fire an AT-4 rocket launcher is back blast area clear. Now we run it all together like one sentence, back blast area clear, but it is to ensure that the flame that projects out of the back of that weapon when it fires is very dangerous. So anybody standing in that area behind him would have been torched. Number two, the amount of percussion that
Hmm.
it makes in an enclosed space, and we do this outdoors, and it's loud, right? You do that in an enclosed space, everyone, to include the person firing it, is deaf, right? So, and then the other part about it is, and that's the only thing I think the movie did show, is it didn't actually explode because, as Daron was saying, is a lot of ammunitions or armaments, they have to spend enough time for that to actually arm. And
Mhm.
because it didn't spend enough time, it didn't explode. So it just kind of knocked the guy down. But everything else was just so ridiculous. I couldn't even entertain the rest of the movie, which is actually why, my beautiful bride does not watch movies with me, because I point out, like, that wouldn't happen. That ain't real. You know what I'm saying? That person, like, I would tell you to this day, I still hyperventilate watching Transformers when he snatched the rank off of was it putting me
Tyrese.
yeah, no, when he
Oh,
the major, when the guy
oh, okay.
from, he's
Yeah.
like, I'll take this. He snatched his rank off. And I was like, first of all, that don't happen. Second of all, you know what I'm saying? That's not, officers don't get demoted. And third of all, we gonna have to go. We gonna have to fight.
Yeah.
You're not. I don't care if you're the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War. Though that is a threat. We are now fighting. So, and I had to realize it's just a movie. Transformers are not real. This isn't a real thing. You have to walk yourself back down. So yeah, that's why
That,
I
that
don't do
remind
that.
me of the other guys with Mark Wahlberg
Yes.
and what's his name? Will
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 Ferrell.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
so
When they,
loud.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
how
That
they
exactly.
do this in
explosion.
movies?
Yeah. There's
That
no
is one
walking
of the
away. Cool.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one of the perfect. As much of the nonsense that exists in that movie, to include my favorite, just the amount of TLC references that are in there. All right, and trying to act like he doesn't pay attention to it, but that was one of the most honest things. That, yeah, it was like, yeah, that
Yeah.
it doesn't look like, it doesn't work like that in real life.
To your point, Melky, too, with that rocket launcher, another thing that you have to do, which they never do in movies, is exhale. You need to get all the air out of your body before you shoot it off, because he was talking about that concussion or the sound. It would knock the wind out of you, and you could pass out if you don't do it properly. So you have to expend all the air out of your body before you shoot it. Otherwise, like, it'll ramble pretty much your insides and take that air that's in your lungs and just like you'll be out. So it's very dangerous stuff. Don't think it's cool just because you see it in the movies and they make it look cool. Nah, and it takes skill to actually aim those things because there's not real sight on it. It's leaf sights on there, which is like essentially just flicking something up and then you have something in the front. And if you play Call of Duty, that's essentially what it is, but like it's a lot harder to actually aim and hit something because again, that round comes out, it goes up, it goes down, and it kind of like does this, and you can see it as you're shooting it. So to be able to accurately hit something is a fairly difficult skill.
All right. Well, Dark Wolf. I definitely recommend watching that.
All right.
Dark Wolf with some education in here.
What else then? What else have you been watching there?
Oh, okay.
Since we on TV shows.
TV shows, I don't know. I can't even think of what I've been watching, honestly. I know I have. I just can't. Yeah, I don't know. You go ahead. You
Well, I
got
ain't got no
something.
TV shows.
You ain't got no TV shows?
I've been watching movies here lately.
I feel like
See,
I
I'm
watched
late to the game because I really last few jobs I've had, I've traveled a lot. So I'm just now like picking up some old shows. Actually, one of my tattoo artists was telling me a couple of shows to watch. I like process shows, so like Law and Order, things along those lines. So it just now started watching White Collar. What else? I'm watching White Collar, watching The Mentalist, watching Elementary. So just now watching some of those and picking up on some of those types of processing. Obviously there's a lot of ridiculousness to it, but it's one of the things. It's also funny to go back and it's because it kind of puts you on a time capsule to where we were as a society during those periods of time. And hear some of the references. You go, oh man, that was like 6-7 years ago. So it is wild to just see some of the things and some of the references that are current then that aren't current anymore.
Yeah, them some old joints you over there watching. You throw back in it for sure. One of the old TV shows that I used to like, I'll recommend to you since you on your binger right now is Suits.
it goes in line with that White Collar, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like
So
it's like the same type.
I'm gonna be real with y'all and Suits for me has been a challenge only because of one of the characters is a minor character, right, in the show, just based on their real life aspirations, has been very hard for me to invest into that character, even though the character is very small in reference to Mike.
Is this person in are they in a royal family? Is that what
I
you
mean, I don't really keep up with with UK politics, but it's been hard to say. And I will say this based on the I was looking at the last one y'all did, and I'm gonna say this, and people, it's an unpopular Black opinion. Keke Palmer, the older she gets, she's not my cup of tea. I don't interviews with her acting. It's not for me. So I try to avoid things that have her in it. But I did watch the last little movie she was in with
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
But that same thing with the cat.
Keke. Yeah. Nah, because the one with SZA. I was like, did she go to the DC Young Fly acting school? Because she was acting just like DC Young Fly, which I thought was a weird choice to do at this stage in the game. Like, she should be maturing, doing something a little bit more serious, but it seems like she's getting goofier, a little sillier, even with, because like the one with Eddie Murphy, which I can't remember the name of, is she could have took a more,
I think it was.
Yeah, the pickup.
Yeah,
she could have took more of a serious role, but like she's still kind of like goofy in it. It's like
exactly. See, and you see now that's why Daron and you always been, saying we link, skin folk, what I'm saying. Those of us with the more caramelist complexion, what I'm saying. So you get it, right? It was like, 'cause that's the way I was trying to put it. There's a level, like I said, of immaturity. There's a lack of development in the characters in which she plays. Now I will tell you that, and there's some rhyming to it. I thought how she played in Nope was actually pretty dope. I thought that fit her character and the way that she's been kind of coming off lately. I thought it made sense for that character. but like you said, they hasn't seen any growth. It's been like the same character over and over again. It's almost the same thing that what's her name, Tiffany Haddish got. A lot of people were railing on her for. You weren't seeing the development in her character, like that. So for me, she make more money than I am, but that is not the way I choose to spend my time.
Yeah.
Well, some people get typecasted for those roles. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the role that you always play, so I'm gonna keep giving you these type roles.
Yeah. I mean, she
Maybe
came out the gate strong as a young girl with Akeelah and the Bee.
Akeelah and the Bee, yeah.
You would think that she would have room to be an Oscar contender, like that whole like, I don't know, maybe she just need one good one, and then it could turn everything around. Because I've seen her in like, so she was on the BET Awards, like the behind the scenes with Kai Cenat and Drewski. I think we talked about that just a little bit, but Kiki was on that, and like how she was interacting with Drewski, where like he was like trying to get her number, but then he kind of fumbled it, and then like it was this back and forth. Like she played that perfectly just off the whim. So like if she could bring that, and she was still kind of silly, but it was a little bit more subdued, more of her, of like I think who she really is, because she even started saying her real name and like, hey, let me introduce myself. My real name is such and such. And Drewski, she was like, what's your real name? And then he said what his real name was, Andrew, whatever. And I don't know, it brought a different complexity to her. So maybe she needs to be more of I always felt like Kiki was a character of who she thinks Chicago girls are, right? Because that's where her family's from. But clearly she got famous very young. So her family wasn't from Chicago no more. So like it seems like she's playing characters of her cousins. And like it just never worked for me.
And I think the combination between those two references we were talking about from the character in Suits to Keke Palmer, where that bridge comes in, is to me what was off-putting about them, and it's my own personal biases, was when your personal life becomes so public, especially in relationships, and that was the thing, the whole issue with Keke Palmer and the whole Usher thing and all that foolishness. And again, I've never been that public, so, but for me as a black man, and as a black man who's been in a relationship, in a very long relationship with my wife, but we've had this conversation of men, right? And you always hear about the protection of womanhood, which is something very ideal to many of the organizations that I'm with. But I think that sometimes it's very cavalier in the way men can some ways sometimes get thrown under the bus. And I always feel like sometimes you can handle situations in a different light. And, because again, I don't care one way or the other how you deal with your situation, but I don't want to be brought into it. Keep that. So there's some things that are good to be kept private. And when it started to get messy, for me, it was like, that's not good. Because at the end of the day, and we all have kids, there's a child that's wrapped up in that. And eventually, they're going to have to respond to questions about how you and, their father and how that went along. And is that really something that everybody needs to know? So it was kind of like, okay, I'm good on that one. Y'all enjoy.
All right, cool. Any other?
I forgot. I'm watching Peacemaker season 2. Right. I think we talked about it on this already, but it's been amazing so far.
Amazing. I don't know about amazing, but it's good.
You don't know about amazing? It's hilarious.
It's good.
Difference of opinion. Like I think it's better than good.
So is it better than the first season?
I think
that's amazing. That's the bar. Is it better than the first season?
I think the story is better than the first season. That's like where they're going.
You couldn't say yes or no.
I think the story is better. I think because it does need to be some underlying things that happen. Yeah. So the first season was a shock.
No,
it was a shock, right? Bruh. So like it's gonna get a level of funniness.
I feel like you've given me this whole clips battle again. Like you're dodging the question.
I didn't dodge the question. I said, is it better than the first one?
I know. Speaking of that, y'all watch the fight?
It ain't over. No.
So he got his bud. He getting his bud in.
I fell asleep last night, so I did not watch the fight. That mug came on too late.
I was fighting. I was fighting that fight.
I forgot all about it, honestly. I was at a birthday party.
I now understand day parties.
Yeah.
You started 10 o'clock, and y'all know we've been rolling I mean, for anybody who listens to Nashville area since the Mix Factory, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And we did tea nights. You know, we wouldn't start until 9, 10 o'clock in the Sundance. You know what I'm saying? Now, you ask me about going about 10 o'clock. I'm like, man, nah, bro, I'm
That's too.
good.
It's too late to go out at that time, pretty much.
I'm good.
Yeah, and you don't call me by 5, 6, and hey, we about to leave in an hour. Then I'm good. But I'm
I
trying
need
not
a
to
day
ride
notice at least. You gotta catch me the day before. Like, hey
Yeah,
man, you think you want to do such and such? I'm not a spur of the minute type of guy no more.
yeah,
Like, hey, we out. Nah, y'all gonna be out. Like, it ain't gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
me.
Y'all have fun with that.
Yeah.
not. But real quick, circling back real quick to
Mm.
Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Peacemaker
Mm-hmm.
season 2 is out.
Mm-hmm.
It is good. I haven't been watching it as well. Is it,
I can't say better because the season's not over. You looking at a completed piece versus an incompleted piece.
dude, we like 5 episodes in. You like halfway through the season. You,
And it's
you,
been good.
it
I said
has been good.
it's been
No,
really
but that's not
good.
what you said. You said that it is amazing.
It is amazing. The added Tim, what's his name? Tim Meadows,
Okay.
the black guy from SNL, who
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
played Leon Phelps, Ladies
Mm-hmm.
Man.
he's
Hilarious.
funny.
The
He
bird
is funny.
blindness stuff is hilarious.
That is funny. Yes, I agree with you. All right. So segueing back over to what Melake was just talking about the fight last night. Um, did you watch the fight last night, Melake?
I did.
Or you just saw
I did.
highlights?
No, I watched the fight. Like I said,
Okay.
it was so initially, you know, as we a little more seasoned in our age. I was like, all right, bet. Because I know the fight's coming on late. I was like, the main card's probably not gonna start till midnight. I was like, you know, I'm gonna take a nap, right? You know, so I can be up. That didn't happen because I actually started my day off with I just now started teaching spin classes. So I taught 2 classes at the gym that I go to up here. So I did 2 hours of spin, then I was like, okay, I'm most definitely gonna be tired. And then I wasn't. So then we came back, watched the Michigan game, you know, go blue. Then in Michigan and Memphis were playing at the same time, so I watched both of those games. And then the football game just started getting good. So by the time the Tennessee game ended, Tennessee Georgia ended, and then LSU game was interesting because Florida didn't, you know, really give it away for like the 5th time until like right in, so they had a chance. So a lot of those games started getting good, so I couldn't get restful. And then by that time, as a matter of fact, I think by the time we finished watching, it was a Notre Dame lose, which you know, Brother Freeman, we pulling for you.
I
But
know, right?
you lost your last 3. You lost your last 3. They
It ain't
but
looking good.
it is not looking good, my brother. It is not looking good. By the time I think right when that ended, it was like, let me go ahead and cut on the fight. So then, but yeah, so watching the fight and trying to stay awake. So I was fighting the fight. But I did make it through. I think I'd probably nodded off around the 5th, 6th round, came back and got caught my second win and watched because the end of the fight. Because I'm an hour ahead of you all. So like I said, it was midnight here by the time the main card. It was actually almost 1 o'clock by the time the main card started. And you know, and I knew it was going to be a boring fight. What I mean by not a whole lot of action, because the way both of the fighters fight, you know, Canelo is very aggressive, but he's smart aggressive. He's not throwing wild punches. So I knew both of them were going to measure the first 5 or 6 rounds, going to be measuring each other out. So that was hard. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. You know, they say styles make fights. I think both of those gentlemen have shown, you know, why they are regarded in the way that they are. They both fought very fearlessly, but you know, I hate to say it, for those who are Canelo fans, and I'm just a good fan of good action. You know, Bud was the better fighter yesterday, and he's been the better fighter for, you know, the last 42 fights. So you know, he most definitely showed that, you know, pound for pound, he can win however it takes to win.
No, I just saw highlights. I don't know about you, Daron, but
No,
the
I ain't even
highlights that
watched
I
that.
saw, the highlights that I saw was really interesting. Like to your point, Melody, I think, you know, based on, of course, the news media will highlight all of the best punches and everything like that. And what I saw, you know, um, both fighters had good highlights, but Bud was the better fighter of
Yeah,
that night based on the highlights that I saw. Again, I didn't
Yeah.
watch the whole thing, but because it came on, I think it was on Netflix last
it was
night,
on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
so I can go back and watch it.
Right.
yes.
I
So that was
plan
the
on doing
thing.
that today. I
That was
plan
the
on
other thing
watching it.
too. That was the other thing, we watched it just to see after the tragedy of the Tyson fight. Jake Paul, then I wanted to see how Netflix was going to recover. Because, nowadays streaming is the thing. Is we were, talking offline before we started, about sports. I heard Kenyon Martin talking on Gil's podcast, or Gil's Arena, about how basketball and AAU is almost like the new football and baseball. Basketball has priced out a lot of the neighborhood kids from being able to participate when that's never what it was. I mean, we all grew up playing basketball. It's one of the easiest things you can do. There's a hoop everywhere, and you don't need to, be on a team. You just play in the neighborhood, and you would get discovered. People would find you and things on those lines. Now, if you're not in these Nike UIBL, if you're not on somebody's team, and it's expensive, and especially for us who got working parents. So I wanted it, but unfortunately, like I said, now even to the point where, because I think the commissioner was talking about it, how many of their games are going to be on streaming services, are going to be on Peacock, are going to be on whatever. So you can't even now, we used to watch, the NBA on NBC or, ABC. Now kids won't even know that. If you're not streaming it on something, if you're not paying for another subscription, you won't be able to see it. So for me, I was like, okay, I want to see what Netflix is doing, because I know if this is the model that they're moving to, that a lot of these sports packages are moving to, that I most definitely want to see it, because I know that UFC is now has with the deal that they signed, they're moving away from pay-per-views.
Yep.
Yeah, they're moving away from pay-per-views. So now the question is, okay, if you're going to do that, then can the service that you're using handle the amount of bandwidth that's going to come with all those new users? So unlike the Jake Paul fight, it stream smoothly. It wasn't any issues with it. So if you go back and watch it, it was nowhere near. There was a part where it got muted, where they were looking at the corners. I think it was about either 7th, 8th round, but I mean, it was only about 30 seconds. But as you all know, as gentlemen who produce, dead air is a very dangerous thing when you're on there. So it was about 30, 40 seconds of dead air. But I think overall Netflix did a good job.
Netflix has so I'm a wrestling fan. I've talked about it on this podcast before, and Netflix streams Monday Night Raw every week. So right after the Jake Paul Tyson fight was when the Netflix deal with WWE was going to go in effect. And I was extremely worried after that, but I think they put their best foot forward and fixed all the issues that they had. I think they just didn't realize how much interest they had in that fight. So they've definitely ironed it out now. When you look at Paramount with the UFC, because UFC, honestly, being pay-per-view and being a very high price pay-per-view at that, I think their viewership has gone down over the years, right? Now I could be incorrect. I'm just pulling this out of the air. I'm just talking really. But with them going to Paramount and letting it be a part of the subscription that you already have, I think that I'm worried what it's going to look like versus what like a football game on Paramount looks like, a college football, because I know Paramount does stream college footballs. I think they do a little tennis. But when you're talking about free UFC, I feel like the viewership is going to go up. So they definitely need to make sure, do some test runs or something and try to iron that out to see like what that bandwidth is going to look like. So it's going to be hit and miss here and there. ESPN Plus is another one. They're also getting now they just got a contract for WWE. Premium live events is what they're calling. It's essentially their pay-per-view. The only difference is that they want an extra $30 a month to get that. So I think you would see the flip for it. And the same company owns UFC and WWE. And I think you're going to see a flip in the viewership, because like I'm a huge fan, but I just got it for free on Peacock for probably the last 4 years. Now you want me to pay $30 a month, and like, you might have multiple events each month, but it's still not worth it when I already pay for ESPN. It should be included in the price. So I wonder how that model's going to work out for them. And then eventually if they reassess it and be like, yeah, you know what, we'll throw it in, or we'll throw it in for 10. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that something's going to have to adjust. WWE right now is riding a high. Tickets is out of control. They just announced 2027 a Saudi WrestleMania, which
I was going to ask you how you felt about
here.
that. I was going to ask you how you felt about that.
It's about money, and it's just, I mean, I get the business model of it, right? Like, but what you're doing is you're alienating those fans that have been watching you for years. Because, like, to be honest, their core demographic is probably low income households, family households. Like,
Mhm.
so, me and my son goes to a UFC event. Matter of fact, they just came back for SmackDown, and I wanted to go in, what was it, August or July? And I really wanted to go, but I looked on tickets. I was like, I'm not paying that right now. Like, it's, you you say the seats are, 75, $60, cool. You start talking about 120, like I gotta draw the line somewhere, like especially when I can just watch it on TV. And even to that point with like them being now on ESPN Plus, the highlights are gonna hit YouTube. So like I don't really need to watch it per se live to get to know to still follow the storylines, right? Because that's mainly what you watch wrestling for is the storylines. But yeah, nah, them going to Saudi so much. So Royal Rumble is in Saudi this year. Then WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi next year. And the thing about Saudi, of course, is like the female, especially for the female wrestlers, they have to adjust their outfits. Because they can't show skin, so like they have to have long pants, long shirts, or and they can create their costume however they want to on that. But like, I, I don't really care for it because like the dudes don't
Just
got
some
to do it
skin.
for one. Nah, I mean, like let them be them. Like, so you gonna go over there, and now all of a sudden they got to get new, and like somebody like so Bianca Belair
Mhm.
makes her own gear, so now she has to make new gear for this. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like you can't even wear what you normally wear. It kind of takes
I'm
away
pretty
some of
sure
their
that they
identity.
asked. It was. I hope that they asked the file. All of the characters and the wrestlers. Like, hey,
I
this
doubt it.
is this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. I mean, especially like you just mentioned for the female wrestlers. Like, this is we're going to have to adjust, and this is the reason why because we're going to this way. And to your point, when you was talking about the core fans, like this has always been a global sport.
Mhm.
uh, so, just because we see it in the United States as being this US dominated event, it's all over the place. But I don't want to say because the increase of viewership has because of the internet. So who's to
Mhm.
say that their audience is not as big or bigger than the United States right now?
And it might be, but like there's other countries out there that's been buying for the chance to host a WrestleMania, like France or England. England's been dying to hold a WrestleMania, and they were adamant that like, no, this is an American-based PLE premium
Mhm.
live event. Like we're not moving it out of the United States. And then Saudi comes around because they have more money. And actually Tennessee, Nashville, because our stadium would have been built by then, was in the running to host that WrestleMania as well. So they took all that out because Saudi dropped the money, which is cool. Like business model, I get it. I get the business aspect of it. You're gonna make a ton of money for just literally having for doing something you were gonna do anyway, right? You know what I mean? Like you're not really changing anything. But I really don't care. I mean, well, no, I say you're gonna have to show regardless. But from the rumor is that Saudi wants certain people to appear. They want certain wrestlers to be in, to maybe come out of retirement. So like you might see The Rock wrestle in
Yeah,
2027. You might see Stone
yeah,
Cold wrestle in
absolutely.
2027
Yeah,
because
bring Sting
they
back.
because they can pay
Why
for
not?
it. You know what I mean? They're gonna offer them some obscene amount of money. But like, what about all the young talent that's grinding it out right now, that's killing it, that are part of the reason why the industry is so big in this moment? You're just gonna you're not gonna wrestle tonight because we got The Rock. You know what I mean?
Like
Like,
NXT
Well,
next.
it's funny
Hey,
that you say that because it goes back into there's a couple of things that y'all hit on, and I think it's very important. Just a part of the discussion when it comes to anything that's in the industry, right? Because if you think about industry, right, we're talking about industrial, it's a part of a machine, right?
mm,
And unfortunately, the machine's gonna keep is the whole purpose of the machine is to keep it greased, keep it flowing, to keep it doing what it does, regardless of who is in there, right? And I think Lamar, you had asked the question. You would hope that they had those discussions with those wrestlers before, and I know it's gotten better. And I've actually gotten more involved in not into what's current day wrestling, but I know during your track, something is like the dark side of the ring, or
mhm.
understanding the industry more. I have learned so much about how the industry functioned And it's been way more interesting to hear about some of the things that go on to Lamar, your point. Hey, you're not wrestling tonight. This person's wrestling, right? And back in the day when individuals were getting paid per event, that's a significant issue, right? But the other part about that both of y'all have brought up is it's the same thing we did within music. You would hope that talent drives the decisions that are being made, but unfortunately, that is not the case. I've
Never
always
has
found it
been.
interesting, and we have all grown up in the church, been in the church. I find it very interesting that to me, the only voices that you seem to see all look the same. And I've seen brothers and sisters who can sing, that don't fit the mold, right? So they don't get to shine. So now you get to the point where some of these young wrestlers, because money, it's all about, it's viewership. It's about the pay. We had the same conversation about the WNBA to my friends and I. And that's what drives the industry. Those who pay get a say. And as long as, Saudi's paying, then they are going to dictate how this event goes. And to Daron, your point, for the casual WDE fan, they're not going to notice it, right? They won't notice some of the inconsistencies. They won't understand some of the inequities. But like you said, for those who have been grinding with it, you're going to see things that just don't make any sense but they have to fit whatever it is because that's what, is being paid for. So it's unfortunate. But again, you're part of the industry. When you're in the machine, you know what I'm saying? Either you get lubed up or you get grinded up. It's one of those things that's going to happen.
Yeah. And what some people are speculating, because the next event, which is going to be the first event on ESPN Plus, is called WrestlePalooza, which is a brand new event. And they're assuming that this is going to be the US based WrestleMania now. And then WrestleMania, the staple, is going to now travel and go into different venues. So you may see something like that where they try to make WrestlePalooza as big as WrestleMania in the future. And this card is pretty stacked. They have returning a huge returning wrestler coming in that hadn't been there for like 10 years or something like that. It's actually CM Punk's wife, because I know most people are familiar with CM Punk. Her name's AJ Lee. She's been had a injury, like a retirement type injury, but through modern science and her cost of living, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but like they've been able to recover her, and she's gonna get in the ring, and it's gonna be a huge match. And there's some other matches that's gonna be pretty big on there, but it's not WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like now WrestleMania is Super Bowl. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, they're going crazy. They spending like, again, I go back to the live events and the tickets because they've stopped doing so many house shows, which again, Lamar, one of the house shows we went to in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, was like one of my favorite WWE events I've ever been to. Because they didn't have to follow a storyline and they got to be silly and just like show their real personality as opposed to just this character that they're portraying on TV. They don't do those anymore. They've cut back, and part of that is good and bad because one, they get more time off for the wrestlers, but at the same time, it cuts down on who gets to see them, as well as the younger wrestlers. Going back to the younger wrestlers, they don't get as many reps. So they can't go to these younger shows and kind of find themselves. So now they're finding themselves live on TV. And, if they make a mistake, it's in front of everybody. And then next, you're out because, you hurt somebody or whatever because you didn't have the time to really progress. So the whole industry is changing for better or for worse. It's more of a machine than it has ever been, being in a part of the parent company of UFC. I can't remember
But it's
the
a
name
good
of the
thing though,
actual.
honestly, because years past, just like here recently, it was in a lull period. Like nobody was watching it, and then all of a sudden something happened and it
Yeah.
flipped. Well, we
It
all know
all
what happened. We know what happened, but I'm just saying, like it's flipped, and now
Yeah.
it's on a high. It's on this swing up again. So this deal it's good and bad, but it's mostly seeing good because it's on the upswing. What they want is your children and your children's children to get indoctrinated into watching this thing, so the machine can keep moving.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. So I think where for me as a casual fan, but as I understand the business more, being in HR, being in human resources, I like to understand like how the organizations work, and I would compare this to college football, college sports, period. I'm okay with more exposure as long as it's going to provide more benefits to those who are doing the work. If It's Stephanie and Triple H and whoever else and the McMahons who are still affiliated with the organization. But it's getting billionaires more billions. But like you said, the NXT wrestlers aren't getting more opportunities. They're not getting, life insurance. If they're not getting health insurance, if it's not bringing anything more to them, then, that's why I go into the challenge. Because to your point, Lamar, you brought up a really good point. And I was going to ask y'all this is, as we are sports fans, it's the same thing you've seen now and some people are complaining with some of these sports games going overseas, whether it's Detroit taking a game out of a home game from Detroit, and now you're going to play in England. Or I know Memphis is now playing, instead of playing one of their games in Memphis, they're going to be playing somewhere else. So it does give those individuals who are from the area, it takes an opportunity away from them. But then you got the flip side of it is, but now you're giving an opportunity for, a kid maybe in South Africa who's never been to an NBA game to go into an NBA game. So it's like, it's the gift and the curse, right? Of exposure. And I'm all about exposure, but my thing is, as long as it's going to lead to hopefully making the entity better and making it better for those involved in the entity. Because I will tell you, like, for me, I had the pleasure of being in the airport in Orlando, and Kurt Angle was on the elevator. We were on one of the freight elevators going up to get baggage claim. And watching him walk, right, was painful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I could see the scar on the back of his neck, right, from the surgeries. And I didn't say anything. I knew who he was. And a younger kid came in and he was like, hey, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm wrestling tonight somewhere locally. And I was like, the way you are moving right now, just in your everyday life, you should not be wrestling, right? The toll that is taken on your body. And the thing that I remember the most is, and I didn't realize this, a friend of mine had an opportunity to do a marketing thing with Deion Sanders. This is before he had all the surgeries. And he was the first one who told me, he was like, Deion Sanders' feet are terrible. So when he was doing like TV, they were like, what you didn't see is when he was sitting at a desk, he had soft shoes on. So he had slippers on. He's like, Deion only puts on shoes, hard bottom shoes, when he has to stand up in front of the camera because his feet are that bad. And the other one is for the older generations, Earl Campbell. They do not show Earl Campbell walking into an event because he's always on a scooter because his knees are so bad. Or same thing with with Mr. Olympia, Ron, I can't remember his name. But you watching the toll that it takes on people's bodies. Yeah, Ron Coleman. You know what I'm saying? Just watching, you always see them sitting because the amount of the toll that the sport or the choices that they made within the sport took on their body. And you would hate to see another generation to go through that. And because I don't think everyone understands like the sacrifice it takes to be able to do that or to put on that show. Like I said, I'm all with it as long as they're going to get more support and there's going to be better things for them. So that's my little 2 cents.
Last thing before we move on is putting money to contact, because we brought that up. So I looked it up. So it was $250 million for them to move the WrestleMania from the States to Saudi in 2027, with a potential. This was a package deal with a potential of $350 million to host the 2026 Royal Rumble over there as well. So this is a 2-year, $600 million deal. So again, to your point, the machine is moving. Money's moving that machine. Would you turn $600 million away of guaranteed money?
And you can't, I don't fault the company. I mean, I'm glad the company is in a position where they can even make moves like this. I mean, it is kind of bittersweet. I would have liked to seen them go to a European country first, honestly, because I feel like the European countries have had more exposure to the WWE longer. And if you've ever seen an event where they're in those crowds and those arenas, I don't care if it's Scotland or France or wherever they are in Europe, like they go crazy.
Yeah, they get love.
Yeah, so like to the point where like the announcers sometimes can't even talk, or like if they're cutting a promo in the ring, like they just have to stop and just let them do whatever it is that they do. But I know that management or I don't know, I've heard management don't really particularly care for it because the fans dictate the show. So like if you have John Cena out there getting ready to cut a promo, but he's got to stop for 10 minutes because they're chanting John Cena, you know what I mean? And he can't even get a word out. Like all he can do is stand there. So now you're wasting time. Time is money. So now, you only got this allotted time to get this whole show in. So now I'm sorry, Kofi Kingston, you got to cut your match short. So I need you to do a squash match. Like, soon as, like in 2 minutes, you're going to be done. You know what I mean? Just because John Cena he was supposed to use a lot of 10 minutes, but he actually took 20 because crowd wouldn't shut up. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, like he said, it's ups and downs, ebbs and flows of the business. And you just got to, roll with it as best as you can. But as a fan, I'm still loving it. I do wish my biggest thing is one, the ESPN price is crazy to me. I'm not doing $30 right now. And then two, tickets. Like lower your tickets back down so fans can actually, so it can be a family event. You know what I mean? Like again, it's just me and my son probably going to one, but there's households of like 5, 6 people. So now they're definitely probably out unless somebody said that the
You pick your
WWE
favorite.
events, yeah, they're becoming like lifelong, like the lifelong event, like Disney. Like for some people, like the goal is to get to Disney. They get to Disney, they're like, cool. I did this family trip to Disney. We cool. You know what I mean? That was the ultimate thing that we could do. And now the WWE is becoming that, as opposed to like, man, every time they come to town, I'm going. You know what I mean? Like it's now like, man, can you tell me 2 years in advance so I can save my money?
Yeah, and I agree most definitely with the exposure. The thing that where it comes into, and that's I always look at the economics of it. And this is not a socialist take, right? But I always look at the aspect of when those deals are being struck. All right, what are some of the blind spots, or what are some of the disadvantages that the doers are actually still facing? Because trickle down economics has not been has not shown itself to be prudent. So generally when the top, of the pyramid seems to get more money, it does not trickle down. So when I look at it, we're talking about sports in general, but one of the biggest conversations I have with college sports, and we're talking about streaming things along those lines. Between the SEC and the Big Ten, I think they signed a $6-7 billion rights deal to show sports, right? Talking about billions, and you still have, and it's just not recently, where you still have schools where they were doing walk-ons, right? And again, we're not getting into the behind the scenes of what people say what it costs to go to college. And I would say, what it costs to go to college, you would have to talk to somebody in the restaurant business and understand this, right? There are certain things that are already sunken costs. That college is going to have the lights on. The college is going to have dorms, whether there are athletes in them or not, right? Because they still are there to provide knowledge to students. So I always say this, right? So when people say, "Oh, it cost that individual," Harvard spent, $100 million educating that student. No, they didn't, right? Because again, like you go to a restaurant, what I charge you for a steak is not what I'm paying for the steak, right? So because I value my education, right, at $100,000 a year, does not mean that is what it's costing me as an institution to host you as a student.
To serve
And you have brought in more money to my institution than it is costing me to function as an institution to have you here. So that's when I go into the, as long as if the money's being brought in, I know that's one of WNBA's biggest points, right? Hey, we feel like we should be getting paid more based on, revenue sharing and things along those lines. And I'm not going to get into the structure of all that because I think it's a whole different conversation. But I always say, I'm always cautious when I hear about money that's being brought in, because, if the doers who are doing the work and doing the sacrifices are, still, I'm gonna say aren't making a living wage for the amount of time they're investing, then that's when you got to kind of ask yourself, is like, is this really best, for the product as a whole?
So devil's advocate real quick, and we're gonna move on. We've been on this for a minute. All right, devil's advocate real quick. Who's to say that the front office, I'm gonna say front office, the ones who are going overseas to make these deals, or these brokerage deals with these media streaming companies and things like that, are not working as much or even harder than the ones who are actually putting in the day-to-day work, the grind? So your sports athletes who are out there in front of the camera doing the work, who are getting a salary or getting paid, they're getting a certain amount of money for the amount of work they're doing. Who's not to say that the front office is not doing as much or more, trying to make these million and billion-dollar deals in order for the company to continue to succeed past what is going on right now? That's the only thing that I'm saying. So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that the front office is also doing some things that maybe doesn't get shared we always see that the money is from the top down, but the people that at the top are doing a whole lot also is what I'm guessing. I guess is the moral of the story is what I'm saying.
I mean, I understand. I understand your point, and from someone who lives in the C-suite is what you sound like you're defending. And we get it. Not to say
I
that
do not live in the C-suite.
and we're most definitely not saying that, because again, I'm very high in leadership as well. So I do understand that there is a lot of the strategic planning that goes into it, and there's a lot of late nights and people, waking up at 6 o'clock to catch Tokyo and all of this. So it's different types of work. But so we most definitely do understand that is work. But I do also know as a business owner, I'm not paying you more than I can make off of you. So if I'm paying you $250 million, I'm making 3 to 4, because I mean that's just business sense. Again, going back to the hamburger.
Absolutely.
Hamburger cost me 3 cents. I'm charging you $1.50 because I got to make my money so I can get to them tickets.
Yep. All right. So we spent a lot of time on that one, but it was a good conversation, honestly, though. But so going back to TV, we was talking about movies was next, actually. So movies. So I want to
hold on. Before you go to past TV, again, I've mentioned it on here before. I'm just gonna plug it again because this is amazing content. I die on this. So like don't think like I'm wishy-washy or this is a clips type conversation. Nope. This is a great show. Aliens, Earth.
Okay.
Loving it.
I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it yet.
Loving it. All right. We can move on. We ain't gotta talk about it. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. So recently I had to take a work trip overseas, and it was a 14-hour flight that's including a layover. I went to South Korea, Seoul, and on the flight I watched a lot of movies. So that's how my segue is into movies. So tell me if you've seen any of these movies. Karate Kid Legends.
Nope.
Black Bag.
Nope.
Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Not yet. Waiting for it to come out on Paramount.
The Ballerina.
Nope.
Waiting for it to come out on Peacock.
and the last one I saw was the Roundup Punishment.
I don't even know what that is.
No, not even tracking that.
The last one, the Roundup Punishment, is a Korean movie, but it's dubbed in English. Okay. But the guy who played he played in Eternals. Who's the guy that was fighting with the fist who stayed back with Angelina Jolie?
I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name.
He's the main character. He has a series like this. That the Roundup is a series movie.
Okay.
But so those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies that I watched while I'm to and from. All of them were really good movies. Honestly, I recommend all of them.
Okay.
Now let me ask you this, because as somebody that just got done traveling myself, now I didn't leave the States, but I did leave the continental United States. Do you pick what you're gonna watch based on like what you think, what you think people can see, if that makes sense? So like
trying to see if somebody like is hustling your screen.
Because it might be kids on a flight or something. You out here watching. Booty call. What I mean?
I watched Hustlers on a flight, and I was like, "Hey, you look over here, you getting what you get." You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't gonna pay to watch. it.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Lizzo, I most definitely wasn't paying to see that. But it was on. So it was on the flight. It was free, and this wasn't on the phone joint. This one actually had the screen built in. So I was like, "Hey, they put it on here. Don't judge me."
Yeah, I don't either. I watch whatever I want to watch.
You watch whatever you want to watch.
Yeah.
But I will say that I am more mindful of some of the things that I watch, especially like when I'm watching on my. So I am, because I download a lot of content before I fly. So I'm like, okay, do I feel comfortable watching this in public? So I do, especially like some of the anime I watch. I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna watch this one, or maybe it's an early flight where most people are gonna be asleep.
The guy actually next to me on the flight over there, he never watched anything on his TV, but every now and again he'll look and be like directly looking at my screen. Can't hear nothing what's going on because I got my earbuds in or whatever, but he's watching the movie with me. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was on a date. Yeah, exactly.
Don't understand none of the plot. Just sitting there just watching the screen.
Yeah. Now I did so on my flight, I went to Hawaii. Um, I don't know wherever Honolulu is, that island, right? Because Honolulu is a city, not the island. But anyway, the first thing I did was turn my brightness all the way down. And then I watched Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is the Weeknd's movie. The
Okay.
singer of the Weeknd with Jenna
Mm.
Ortega. And then I watched Magazine Dreams with the guy that was playing Kang in Marvel that got into a bunch of trouble.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jonathan
yeah.
Majors.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Major.
Major.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that any good?
So Magazine Dreams, if you don't know, was supposed to be his like Oscar breakout role,
Kind
right?
of like The Rock and what he's doing right now in this his
Yeah,
Okay.
with the smashing machine. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or who else did I equate to? Or like Mickey Rourke in The
Yeah, Mickey
Wrestler
Rourke.
is a
Yep.
perfect example of it. So he's playing a bodybuilder, amateur bodybuilder that's trying to break into the business. And he does a really good job because he's kind of slow. He's kind of, a little slow.
Like in real
Um,
life.
not, I mean, in the movie.
I was just playing. I'm just playing.
But so he does a good job of playing that character, and kind of having that roid rage,
Mm.
like because he's taking steroids.
Mhm.
So he's kind of like flipping out every now and again and stuff like that. So like it made sense to me. I could definitely see why there was a buzz around this movie before it came out. Now, is this movie for everybody? Absolutely not. It's very artsy. It's very Oscar bait. If you understand what I'm saying with that. Again, I go back to something like Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler. It's very akin to that, where it's like it might not be your cup of tea. But I did enjoy it. For the most part, it's a lot of him in his draws, and I ain't really care for that. You know what I mean? But that's the most of it where you're like, all right, man, all right, I get it. You know what I mean? It's a lot of look at my body, like because I'm jacked, so it's posing, all that type of stuff. Like I remember in the 80s when bodybuilding was kind of big still,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? I'm sure it was huge in the 70s with Arnold.
Mm.
But in the 80s, it was still kind of big with like Mark Coleman or not Mark Coleman, but who'd you mention earlier?
Ronnie Coleman. Mm.
Ronnie Coleman.
Mm.
Uh, so I remember that and being like, oh man, that's cool. Like all these dudes on stage flexing and stuff. Now, as a grown man, I watch that. I'm like, click. Nope, not for me. Like I'm gonna turn the channel because all it is a bunch of dudes in speedos. Like, and it looks stupid to me now. Not that I don't respect
Yeah, the
that
work they
peak
put in. Yeah.
physical. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's hard work. You got to be regimented with what you eat and everything like that. And it even shows that in the movie. But like, nah, it's not for me. You know what I mean? That lifestyle or even watching, following that. But I thought it was a good movie. All that to say, I thought it was really good. They did bait and switch me because there's a young lady that's in the movie. I don't know her name. She's African American, but she played in this movie called Zola, which was it's on HBO. I think it's still on HBO,
Mm.
and it was like a TIFF, like an indie film that made the rounds on the circuit. That was pretty. It
Taylor
was.
Page.
Is that what it is? It
Her
was a
name is
really good
Taylor Page.
movie. Yes, it's based off a true story where it's like essentially this exotic dancer hooks up with a friend she just meets, goes to Florida to dance, but like it's hijinks ensue, if you will, right?
Mm.
Um, but they advertised her for this movie with Jonathan Major, and like she's in it for like 5 minutes, and I was
Oh,
like,
for real.
I was like, I expected more. Like, and I forgot she was in it until she popped up. I was like, oh, she is supposed to be in it. Wait, oh, that's it? That's all I get this? Okay, all right, whatever. Yeah.
So
But no,
those the
I
only two
definitely the
movies.
whole time I was like, nope, put the yeah, because other than that, I watched Aliens, I watched Legion, I watched some of the other stuff that we've already talked about.
Uh, Legion. Old Legion, like
Yeah,
Marvel
I
Legion.
sorry. Yeah, I told you last time, like Aliens has made me go back and rewatch Legion.
Oh, okay.
So I'm still going through that.
It's interesting you say that. I'm sure y'all have already had discussion, but I just recently took the time to go see the Fantastic Four, and it was interesting about when you talking about Peacemaker and these things, and it was yeah, it was interesting.
It happened.
We've already had our conversation about about
Yeah,
that
it was
movie.
it was interesting.
Just say what you feel, man.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about it. I think the challenge you have with, especially for those of us who came up in the generation before, where like the fact that they made some of these comics into cartoons was like a nuance, and then them even making it to movies because and I'm sure you all have already discussed before is, I mean, let's be honest, Blade. There's no Marvel universe without Blade, without the success of Blade. Blade was one of the first universally successful, you know, um, action hero movie, comic movies to cross over, right? But so you see some of these characters that we've seen over the years, and especially if you're a comic person, which I am not, but I know people who are. But even if you just watch like X-Men, the cartoon things on those lines, Galactus, and all these large characters. And for me, I'm a Transformer head, so watching, how they did Devastator, some of these major people who are major characters, and they get reduced to some of this is like, the power that these individuals have and they have showed over, again, a series of comics, a series of cartoons to be relegated to like, but I understand it's a movie. 20 minutes of action is like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. That wouldn't happen. Yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing. But I mean, again, you got to make a movie. The only thing that I will say that for me, and because I just watched online what was it, the Goofy movie? I can't remember, the New Avengers or whatever they called it.
Oh,
Thunderbolts.
the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts. This was my issue with you talking about watching movies on the plane. This was my issue with Lord of the Rings because I didn't read any of the books. I remember some of the Tolkien stuff, and I remember like watching or reading and watching the Hobbit. I watched Lord of the Rings, the first one, on my flight to Germany. I didn't know it was a series of movies. So when they crest that ridge, and I was like, and then it ended, I was like, whoa, what we doing? There's no resolution. So for me, a lot of this, and with the multiverse, it's like just make a movie to make a movie. Don't make a movie to tie into something else. I don't want to see. Just make a movie that is independent of itself, that doesn't crest something else. But I would say when I knew I was mad because it was an older. You talking about people watching your screen, Lamar. It was an older cat sitting next to me, a civilian guy. And I guess my my huff was loud. He was like, "Yeah, I was watching." He was like, "I was watching you watch that movie. I was watching you get into it." I was like, "He don't know this movie don't really end." So when you he's like, so when you took them headphones off, I was like, "Yeah, got you too, didn't it?" I was like, "Man, nah." I was like, "This ain't." I was like, nah. Don't hit me with a to be continued because I hated those as a kid. Transforms with the to be continued.
Yeah.
Things on those lines, man, it's wild. Don't to be continue me.
Yeah. Now I've talked about it on this show before. I don't remember what shows I was talking about, but I was like the audacity of them to believe that they're even gonna get another one. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I can't remember what it was, but I was watching something and it ended like that, and I was like, I don't think it ever will get a second part. So like, why did you do that? You just
Yeah, I
ended
can't
the
even
show
remember
like
what we talked
halfway
about.
through. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember neither. But like, I remember the conversation of like, how dare you? Like, just finish it, finish the story, and then come up with something for the next time. Like, self-contained stories
Yeah,
will be
exactly.
great.
Exactly. So for me, allegedly, for those of us who have, ability to watch numerous types of platforms in one central location, through the nuances of internet and wizardry that people do when they hand you some of these devices that you can plug in your TV and watch everything. I get
Hmm.
the opportunity to go back and watch old shows. So for me, I was watching American Gods, which I thought the concept was
Mm.
dope. I would tell you, it
It
is
was
Hmm.
one of the
good.
few, and anyone who hasn't seen, you've seen the Orlando Jones. Jones is his name.
Hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
Orlando Jones.
You talk about Goofy. His characters have never appealed to me, but and I've never questioned his blackness, right? You know what I'm saying? I thought he fit the role in Drumline. I thought
Hmm.
he played well as a band director, both being that serious individual and being professional, but also, still so I think he played that role well. But and you see like some of the scenes that he had in this show were like, wow, I can't believe they wrote that in this day and age for a black person to say because the show did it because the movie is not based on, but there were nuances of that. All different types of different theologies and things on those lines that represented religion and a lot of things.
Hmm.
Um, but to your point, I had to go back because I watched it and I was like, okay, when's the next season? And it's like, no, it ended. Stars were like, "Ah, we good."
Yep.
So it never like closed, and like I said, just left it
Yeah.
up. Now again, I know they didn't write it that way, but to your point, they wrote it with we're going to finish this story, and it never finished Shadow's story, and I was just like, crazy.
Old
Yeah, I
guard too,
didn't.
Daron.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep, old guard too. I was like, like y'all
Man,
don't even deserve another one. The way that
Mm-mm.
one went.
man, let me tell you something. I fell asleep on that movie.
Yeah.
I fell asleep on that movie.
The first
Like you
one was
said,
good.
the first
The
one was
first one
good.
was good.
Like I said, the audacity, the unmitigated gall for
Right.
you to
Yeah.
create this
The
piece of
gall.
scenery to assume, and I pay for Netflix,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but to assume that I'm going to take the time to watch this again. I'd rather watch Die Hard 3,
Yep.
and I still ain't watched Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to touch on real quick, Daron, is I was flipping through the channels the other day, and Equalizer 2 came on.
hmm
You remember? You know who was in Equalizer 2?
I don't know because I've never seen Equalizers.
What?
Man.
Never seen none of them.
This is your homework assignment. You gotta. You those are good movies.
I keep
They're great
hearing.
movies.
I keep hearing
Huh?
that.
They're
I keep
free.
hearing that. I understand that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
who
wow.
I
Go
was
ahead.
getting to is the person that we always been talking about, who's in every movie.
Oh, Pedro Pascal?
Yes.
Is
Okay.
he in Equalizer too?
I
That's
was
funny.
flipping
Yes.
through the channels and I
Yep.
stopped on Equalizer 2
Yeah, he
and
plays
boom, they go Pedro Pascal.
Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go into Pedro real quick, Melake. I do want to hit on American Gods because one, it's an amazing show. If you haven't seen at least the first two seasons for
The
sure
concept is
are
just the
crazy.
concept is bananas.
And Nancy is who
Mhm.
you were talking about,
Yeah,
Orlando
Nancy.
Jones playing. And some of the speeches and rants that he did, I'm not sure they 100% wrote them because
Mhm.
he actually got canceled off the show. So by the time you get to season 3, he's no longer there. They don't
Mhm.
talk about it, why he's not there anymore or anything. It's because of those rants. And he wanted more of them, and they said no. And it was one of those things where, like, if you, I'm sure you can pull up YouTube right now, type in Nancy's or Orlando Jones,
And generally, you'll
you
see
know,
the one on
American
the slave
Gods,
ship.
and
Mhm.
yeah,
That was the
you'll see
That's
best
the most
one.
famous
the
one. Yeah.
views will be crazy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like for you to just discard this person, like whatever. All right,
That's
so
why they canceled.
yeah, it's crazy. But so I just wanted to touch on that and kind of like clarify that I think he might have came up with some of those rants himself, or
Mhm.
maybe they gave him a kickoff point and then he just kind of took it somewhere else. Which again, if you haven't seen those, just Google those. You ain't got to watch the whole show. Just amazing of how he's talking to. He's on a slave ship, right, in the early 1800s, and he's, or maybe it's even the late 1700s, somewhere in that time period, but he's telling the slaves like what they have to look, not only they have to look forward to, but generations have to look forward to as they're praying to him asking for help. Like,
Yeah.
so he tells them essentially to help themselves, so they just burn the whole ship down and die within it, right? So crazy work. Again, it's kind of like the Killmonger. I'd rather die, I'd rather
Mhm.
bury me in the water with my
Yep.
ancestors because I'd rather die than to live like a slave.
Yep.
um all right.
That was crazy. Where that was a one take scene. It seems
Yeah.
like it was too. Like he
Yeah.
just went on and on and on.
hmm Switching back, Lamar, Pedro Pascal. I watched Freaky Tales
Oh,
because I
you
know
did
we
watch
talked
it.
about it last time.
Yeah.
Bro, what did I watch? Like, as I'm watching the first part because it's broken up into segments,
I told
right?
you.
That
Yeah.
all, the first one, I was like, what is this? Like punk rock versus Nazis? What is
Yeah.
happening? And then the second part, I was like, oh, okay, Normami. Okay, cool. I guess I can watch the verse too short. That's weird. All right, cool. Whatever. I'll watch this one. Then you get the Pedro story, and that's where it really starts to like kind of culminate and tie in. But Sleepy Brown. Is it
Yeah.
Sleepy? What was that
Yeah.
dude's name?
Yeah. The Warriors.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you, I had to Google after I got done watching that part because I wanted to see if all of them got robbed in the same night. Right. Spoiler alert. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. I'm not gonna go too much further than that. But I wanted to see if they
Sleepy
all the
Floyd. Sleepy
warrior
Floyd.
Sleepy Floyd. I
Okay.
wanted to
Yeah.
see
Freaky Floyd.
if they all got robbed in one night, which is not true. Sleepy Floyd is of course a real person who's actually in the movie as well. The real life, Sleepy Floyd is in the movie playing just a different character. I think he's a detective in it. Um, but yeah, that movie got crazier and crazier. And by the time you get to Sleepy Floyd, I was like, is this Last Dragon? What just happened? It was great though.
It
I
was
was
good. It was
cracking
good,
up
wasn't it?
laughing. By the end, I was like, it was so over the top and ridiculous. Like I couldn't help but to laugh and be like, and then Tom Hanks is in the movie. I was like, what is Tom Hanks doing in this movie?
Right, right. Just a random, what do you call it?
Cameo.
Cameo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Melody?
I haven't seen it. It's been on. It's one of the titles I've looked at, and I was like, I'm gonna check it out. So it's funny for me. I generally do one or two things. I'm like, okay, am I going to watch this alone, or are we gonna watch this together, right? And then also it goes into am I gonna watch this on my phone, or am I gonna watch this on the TV? So like right now, I know you're talking about like I haven't finished watching goodness, Squid Games because I
Mm.
was like, I don't want to, I have to be in a certain same, but the same thing like with Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
As we were talking about American Gods, it made me kind of think, those shows that make you think, those shows that are, and almost anthologies that, everything is single in itself. But, because like there's certain things that I've had to go back and watch. I don't know if you guys have talked about Black Mirror on here, where the thing that I enjoyed about American Gods were like a lot of the same things in some of these shows, the things that make you think. It's why I love Dave Chappelle's comedy, right? It's
Mhm.
not straightforward. It's in your face. You have to go, oh, okay. And then then you have to look at the layers of it. And like, I like smart funny. I like smart comedy too. And the reason why, and I haven't watched Aliens Earth yet, I also haven't watched the last one, was Romulus. I think the last one that came out is, I played the Aliens game that came out, I think it was on PS1 or 2,
Mhm.
whenever it was. With them little face huggers, talking about PTSD, I still, because when you playing the game, you can hear them. You hear more, but you can't see them. They're on the screen. I don't like that. I'm not that. And I'm okay with where I'm at. So I'm still traumatized by that. So I'm still, me and aliens is always, what I'm saying? It's
The love-hate
like
relationship.
noon on a Saturday when I got the rest of my day to redirect my thoughts. Yeah, that's me and aliens. So, but I haven't watched that yet one yet.
So the Freaky Tales, Sleepy Floyd, you said Last Dragon-esque. That was a good, I think, comparison. I think that because Sleepy Floyd was he was a kung fu master in that movie.
For
Slicing and
sure.
dicing is what he was doing. Any other movies that you've seen or watched here
Oh,
lately
I
in the
watched
last couple weeks?
Spike Lee's Highest to the
Okay.
Oh,
Lowest
I haven't
on
watched that yet.
Apple. It's on Apple TV right now. Very you haven't watched it, Lamar Melody,
No,
you seen
I
it?
No, I
haven't.
haven't
It's on
seen
my
it.
to-do
Okay.
list.
It's a very Spike Lee movie. So if you like Spike Lee, if you like the blues soundtrack that he adds in, the let me stop the movie to make this point, right? Like this in your face, like there's a part where he really highlights like Spanish, no, it's like more a Puerto Rican part of Brooklyn, maybe.
Hmm.
But he makes a point to, I mean, the movie's still going on and stuff is transpiring, but he highlights the mess out of this. To the point where he lets a whole Puerto Rican band play like their entire song. Like they have a whole set at a block party. They bring out Rosie Perez, as Rosie Perez. They bring out Anthony Ramos, I think is his
Mhm.
name, the guy from like Hamilton and
Hamilton, yep. Transformers,
Transformers.
yep.
So they bring him out, and I was like, "What is happening right now?" Like, you know what I mean? It's just very Puerto Rican. He does this thing with the Yankees, and like, make sure you know that Spike Lee's a Yankees fan. He's New York through and through.
Hmm.
So those can distract from the movie itself, but like, I mean, Denzel did a good job. Uh, uh, what's his name? Right.
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright,
Hmm.
amazing job, amazing job. Um, and then everybody else does okay. The Allstate dude that played Mayhem, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure he's in it, and he plays Allstate, man. Like he plays Mayhem. Like he's a detective, but he still has that same energy almost. And it's
Hmm.
like, dog, you don't fit. Like you seem very comic bookish to what everybody else is doing. ASAP did all right, because he's also in the movie. Ice Spice is in the movie for like 2 seconds for no reason. Like it's just like he wanted to highlight Ice Spice. But yeah, no, it's worth a watch. I think if you've seen Spike Lee movies before and you've been able to watch them and enjoy them, I think this is a good movie. But if you watch like Mo Better Blues or He Got Game, any of these other Spike Lee movies, and you didn't like his cup of tea, then you this ain't gonna change it. This ain't like Inside Man, where it's like more of a commercial success. This is back to like Spike being Spike.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. I'm gonna give it a watch just because on GP I gotta watch it.
Yeah, kind of way it works.
Yeah. One of his best movies, by the way, if y'all hadn't seen it, it's called 25th Hour, at least to me. 25th Hour with Edward Norton and Rosario Dawson, a couple other people, Philip Seymour Hoffman, before he passed away. I think it's a great movie. I'm just gonna throw that out there as a recommendation. It is Spike Lee's answer to 9/11. So there's a lot of post 9/11 stuff happening. The towers are still down, there's still dust and debris on the ground. There's no monument. Matter of fact, I think they were digging a hole at that time, where the monument is now. So like if you hadn't seen it, I think it's very good. Uh, so get that one a shot too.
Got it. Well, that's all the movies and TV shows that I had. What you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
Not for movies and TV shows.
Well, I
News
mean, just
or
anything.
oh, oh. So last time I think was the last time we talked about skin burn, uh
Yeah,
like people having sunburn. I said skin
sunburns.
burn,
Yeah,
sunburn, right? So like I said, I went to Hawaii, TDY with the military, do what's called a site survey. So essentially, we went checked out a couple of areas to see if we wanted to bring the rest of the team down for to utilize it as training, right? During this time period, I did hit a couple beaches, right? One, I've never swam in the Pacific, so that was different. One, the Pacific's just cold. I don't know why. It's not like the Atlantic. The Atlantic's warm, Pacific's cold. Like as soon as it hits your leg, you're like, I'm not ready for this. Two, waves. I've never swum with waves. Never been to wave pool, nothing like that. So like that was definitely a shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just have the force of waves crashing down on you or pulling you, like that tide pulling you out towards the sea, like is or the ocean, should I say? That's crazy. There's oceans every. I mean, like the whole, of course, it's an island, so like everything, like there's beaches everywhere. So none of their beaches are that populated, which is I thought was pretty nice. Because like if that beach is too full, just drive down the street
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes and then you'll be at another beach, and this that one probably won't be as. Did have a scare. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I have this thing right where I don't like when my feet don't touch the ground. I can swim, right?
Disclaimer.
I can swim. I am a black man that can swim, which is so to include the fact that I went with three other people, they were all Caucasian males, and I was talking trash, like y'all ain't never seen a black man swim, all this type of stuff, right? I never swim with waves, so I didn't swim in the ocean at all. Like I wouldn't do it. I was like, nope, I'm not going under this water. I don't know where it's gonna take me by the time I lift my head back up. It's scary. I'm not ready for that. I need to get more comfortable with the ocean. But we went to a park that was calmer waters for snorkeling, right? So we're snorkeling. And as soon as I put my head down, I immediately knew my snorkel set wasn't as tight as it needed to be. Right. So now I got salt water all in my nose, and I'm breathing through this tube, and I'm like, this ain't working. Like I hate this, whatever. But I tried to, what I mean? I tried to push through, right? And next thing I know, I'm like, all right, bump it. Like everybody else is looking at fish. I'm gonna look at some fish. So I look down, I'm snorkeling, and I'm swimming, and I'm following this fish. 'Cause I was like, man, what type of fish is that? Next thing I know, I didn't swim too far out. Right. I'm like, that floor looks pretty far down. I need to stand up and go no further. So I go to stand up, feet don't touch the ground. So in theory, I'm floating, right? Like, cause like I'm upright, my head's above water, but now my feet don't touch the ground. I panic, sheer
That's
panic.
more than theory. That's
In,
actual. You were actually floating. That's
no, I know. That's what, again, I can swim. I just have to tell my brain that in those moments.
Right.
So like I'm up and like, oh my God, I'm gonna drown. I got the snorkel on, water's in my nose because the snorkel wasn't acting right, like the mask part, like right that you got that goes over your nose. The tube's still in my mouth. So now I can't breathe properly because I'm probably hyperventilating. I'm like, so I just spit the tube out, blah, get out of my mouth. Like I gotta get back. I can see my friends, they're a ways off now because like I swam too far. I didn't even know I guess I don't know how I got over there. So I'm trying to swim back, but now I'm a little tired. So like I'm like doing one of these numbers where I'm just kind of like pushing the water. And in my head, I'm like, all I need to do is stretch out and swim to them. Like it's fine. I just need to swim. But I got the snorkel in my face that ain't working right. I can't breathe with it. And if I go up underwater, I know the water's just gonna like rush into my mask, and now I'm gonna have water in my nose and my eyes. So I'm freaking. Like so now I'm close enough to my friends where I'm like, hey Lee, I'm freaking out, man. So now I'm telling these dudes that I'm panicking. And so he's like, man, you all right? Like just sheer concern. So I go out, I'm like, yep, nope, I'm freaking out. So I reach out to him. I'm pretty sure I pushed him up underwater trying to hold on to him. And then I get to a point where like I think when I pushed him down, I saw he didn't go down that far. Like he just barely went under because he's shorter than I am by, just a little bit, a couple inches. He didn't go down that far. So I was like, I wonder if I can stand up. So I just stand up. I didn't swim back into the area where I could stand up. I was like, man, if I'd have just kept my mouth shut, they would have never known.
Yeah.
I'm out here in a full-blown panic. So they hadn't let that down uh since. Kind of like you, Lamar, when we went on a Caribbean cruise and we jumped out.
Oh
It was a
man.
jump off part, right? Like you can get a life. Well, we had life vests,
Man,
but it
you ain't
was
telling the story. We took
hold
a
on.
tour ship out to this middle of a place
Hmm.
where you can go snorkeling.
Okay.
Did we
And
take a
then you
tour ship
can
or did we just come off the pier? I thought we came off the pier
no,
on that one.
no.
Okay, all right. So we took a tour ship. Okay, all right.
And then you can once we docked or we landed where we was gonna be, we stood, you can jump off the boat into the water.
You can
Hmm.
jump off. So swimmers can jump off the boat. If you can't swim, you go with this instructor and you pretty much walk off the boat, right? Again, you in a life vest. For whatever reason, I put the snorkel on as I jumped off the boat. So I got the tube in my mouth, jump off. Of course, I sink, so water rushes into the tube, hit my mouth. I pop up, eyes big. I'm staring at Lamar, and he's like, "You all right?" His eyes big,
It
just,
says nothing.
and he's like, "You okay?" And then so now, because he's asked me if I'm okay, the instructor turned around, look, he sees me, eyes wide open, right? Again, I'm floating. I am floating. I got a life vest on. I'm fine. And then as soon as I saw the instructor out the corner of my eye start to make his way to me, I was like, I'm fine, I'm good. And then I swam for the rest of the way. It's something about my feet not hitting that ground that freaks me out. I can't do it.
So here's the thing, and I say this with love because I do love you. These are all self-inflicted things that you have put yourself in.
Oh,
So
100%.
at what point in time do you go, you know what, self, this may not be good for us?
Let me
Because
tell you
I don't like
something.
the way how we represent when these situations happen.
It's happened my entire life, so I can't see it stopping now. I can remember being in middle school. I think I went over to one of my friend's house, didn't realize he had a deep side of the pool, right? I see people doing cannonballs and stuff.
Mm.
Bet. Off the diving board, got it. Come up. Oh no. I just swam to safety. Because again, I can swim. Nobody saw I panicked, and I never went back over there again. We went one time, Lamar, for we was in Gatlinburg with the church, Greater Pleasant View.
Mhm.
And everybody was doing flips and cartwheels off the diving board there. I didn't want to be left out. Some girls out there. Of course, I'm a young man. I'm gonna show out. Boy, I hit that water, pure panic. Again, nobody saw it because I was able to get to safety before I just like had to have help. So like nobody knew that I just never went back over there.
See, there is there you should be commended. Because you have a level of survival that very few people have. See, for me, if we start talking about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? My self-preservation is number one, which again goes back into this is why I have not watched Aliens Earth, because I know I'm good with where I'm at. There are certain things I am very courageous. There are certain things I just don't need in my mental space. So I'm gonna take a pause on that. So again, I mean, the ability to be able to survive these numerous events and to continue to put yourself in these situations. I mean, there's a level of perseverance and that is beyond measure. So
Maybe
kudos to you, my brother.
maybe you like a challenge. Is that what it is? You like a
I mean,
challenge?
it
You want
happens
to
every
see?
time. It happens every time. I don't know.
Like it's
Like, and normally if I can relax a horse in the water, I'm fine, right? Like I just didn't get this time. I didn't give myself a chance because I knew I didn't have a life vest on, and I ain't feel like doing the work. It's lazy on my part. I was like, I don't feel like kicking my feet or something, like, you know what I mean, to try to float. I was just like, nope, I'm going back over there as fast as I can. But I was already tired because it's like, I don't know. I was just, whatever. Like, yeah, maybe I won't go back into some deep water. But see, here's the thing. While in my last deployment, right, which was last year, we had a deep pool. I kept going in there and kept like trying to get used to not having my feet on the ground. And I thought I was comfortable with it, which is one of the reasons why I was able to venture out this time. But then once I realized I'm no longer comfortable with it, like that self-preservation came back into play. Like, nope, you gotta do something. You can't just stay out here. Then they was like, oh man, let's go check out some fish. So no, I'm not. I'm right here. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm done. I'm getting out. Like I'm over this. I'm over today. I went and sat my butt down on a chair.
but you can swim
I can't swim.
in a pool.
I can't.
Just saying you can swim in the pool.
I swim in the ocean. I swam in the Atlantic. I can
Oh.
swim. I just don't like my feet not to touch the ground. That's all. I don't think that's that big. I'm a
How
small
can you
person.
swim
I like
without
you
your
do
feet
know
touching
that
the
is a
ground?
very key point in swimming. That is by
I was
physics,
thinking the same thing.
physics in and of itself. It's like, man, I don't mind flying. I just don't want to be off the ground. Other than that, I'm cool. I fly all day, baby. Just keep my feet on the ground. No, that's
that is
a
can't
fact.
swim,
You
though.
cannot swim without having your feet not touch the ground.
No, I know that,
Otherwise,
but I can't.
otherwise you're walking.
But I can't swim. Here's the fact: I can swim. I can actually swim.
Now, to your point, if we get into the semantics of a thing, the ability to do a thing and enjoying doing a thing are two different things.
Two different things.
Those two things can exist at the same time.
I know I can swim because I've saved my life.
You saved your own life from putting yourself in peril. So you are the villain and the hero in your story.
Yeah, exactly.
You are your own origin story.
Two-Face over here. That is funny. Man, Daron, you got me crying over here.
That's wild. That is wild.
Oh man.
I thought this was a safe place. Is it not?
It is, man. This is a barbershop. You can talk free in the barbershop. I just know next time we get together, if there's water nearby, if you all come and visit, and we are in the Atlantic, yeah, I got a pool at the house. You might have to stay at the house first before we hit the beach.
Atlanta's a lot more calmer, I think. Well, I'm not sure because I don't live off the beach of the Atlantic, but it don't seem like the waves are.
It depends on where you're at. So like where I'm at, we have small islands, 84 square miles, 28 by 7. Where I lived when I first moved down here, they would actually surf on that side of the beach. And I don't know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not nautical, so I don't know if it's leeward or wayward. I know those are two words that people use. I don't know if it's right or left, but I know where I used to live at, they used to go surfing. But there are most other areas. There's a lot of snorkeling, and actually, one of my brothers one of my fraternity brothers owns a dive shop. So they walk out. They don't do the pier. They literally just walk out from there. And I know it's a lot calmer in certain areas because there's a lot of snorkeling that goes on here.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, Daron?
Nah, man, give me a break.
You reflecting?
Melika, you got anything else you want to touch on? You good?
No, brothers, man. Like I said, I will say this. As men, and specifically, as fathers, as leaders, I appreciate what you all do. The opportunity to highlight, gentlemen getting together, having conversations about many different topics. Like I said, I've known y'all for almost seems like forever. I followed this show as much as I can. I've seen, some episodes of some great conversation on there about marriage, life, things on those lines, and some things just don't have to be that heavy. And in the environment in which we live in, where people consume so much, which goes back to, like I said, the reason why I have chosen not to watch Aliens Earth yet, is because I have to be very mindful of what I put in my spirit and what I consume, because I know that my mind does allow me to go different places. And Daron, you stayed to it. I can tell you that specifically after Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out. I think it was after you and I had deployed. And in fact, haven't been in Iraq, right? We were there.
Mhm.
There are certain things that just nope. This doesn't make me feel comfortable. This video game is too much like what I just came through, and I am not ready to process that experience yet. So I have to be very mindful of what I consume, and you all having the platform to put out something that people can consume. That's gonna make them think, hopefully, about that the fact that you can't swim and not have your feet off, not touch the floor is actual thing. It is a factual thing. So if that is an issue that you also have, understand that you're not alone. I don't know, Daron, if you're gonna create a website or
There is help.
Support group.
There is help.
support group. You know what I'm saying? If you like to swim but you don't like your feet not touch the ground, you are not alone. You know what I'm saying? But it gives people the opportunity to have some light in what seems to be the consumption of a lot of dark times. But that also goes to, hey, said, so I won't take too much of y'all time, man. But we know that as advanced as we become in technology, I was just taking this class, and they were talking about marketing, right? And the whole thing was about, like, we go back to Nokia. The long story short of it was how the BlackBerry came about and how the multifaceted uses of your cell phone and the whole way they sold it to business was, your cell phone, you're not going to be able to get, you don't need a fax machine. All messages will go right to your pocket. So you won't have to be in the office. You can be on the golf course and still do business, right? It's going to give you so much time to be free. You'll be able to be with your family and still monitor, and not understanding that how we now become tethered to this thing, right? It is with us all the time. And now with AI, it allows it will feed us things that may not always be good for us, right? So with you all being able to put something else out into the ether, that is light, right? I think that's a great thing. So I appreciate y'all providing me to enter my glitch into the matrix in support of something that's light, man. And I appreciate y'all brothers for doing that and allowing me the opportunity to join y'all.
Well, I appreciate your sentiments, brother. I appreciate you coming on and spending a little time with us and giving your opinions and thoughts on some things that we brought up. And I appreciate you as a friend. I appreciate you as a father, as a husband that you are to your wife, and the man that you are. And you have grown to be yourself. So let me give you your flowers right now, brother. Thank you.
And I will say this, man, and Michelle knows this, and I will say this. The one thing that I've appreciated about the both of you all, right? And I think that sometimes we take for granted. We may not talk often, we may not talk long, right? But we always pick up where we left off, and it is always in love, right? And I know Daron knows this, especially being, having a service. When you move around a lot, it's hard, right? And especially when we get older, we have families. But I have never been in a situation where I have not felt the love. And that is something, as I've gotten a little more seasoned, right? And I'm getting ready to retire after 26 years of service, right? You think about it, man, 26 years. And I know you and I remember when I joined the service, right? There are a lot of things that have changed, but there are a lot of people who haven't. And I appreciate you being one of those people who haven't. So, man, brother, I would say this. I love you. I love the both of y'all. Man, I appreciate the love that y'all share as brothers. And I'm glad to be, an extended member of that family. So I appreciate y'all for having me.
Appreciate it. So this is Brother Noomsi, episode number 7. Like and subscribe, comment. We're on TikTok, same name, Brother Noomsi, YouTube, Instagram. any platform. We also on, what is it, Daron? Apple,
Spotify, Apple. Yeah.
Yeah, we everywhere. So wherever you get your daily podcast, we're there. So just look us up, Brother Noomsy. And last point I want to make real quick. Um, the lassophobia. The lassophobia is the fear of deep body water, which can include the ocean, large lakes, or even the deep end of a pool.
Let me tell you something. I don't know what's in the ocean still. Like, I don't trust the scientists. I feel like it's some creatures down there. It's too big. You don't know what's in there. I don't trust it.
So I can tell you this. So, like I said, one of our brothers owns a dive shop, and I was talking to a gentleman when I was in Florida before I came here. And I've talked to people here. They was like, "Oh man, you got to go night diving." Let me tell you something. Because like one of the weirdest things, like from where I live right now, in the space we live at, I can see both sides of the ocean because it's not that wide. The island's only 7 miles wide, and from where I'm at, the point where I'm at, I can see both sides of the ocean. But there are nights when I can go out and I look from my veranda and I look how dark it is and how expansive it is. Because like on a good day, I can see from here. I can see sometimes we can see Tortola. Sometimes we can see St. John. I mean, not St. John, but St. Thomas. So you can see the other islands, but you realize, okay, well, my eyes can see and how close they are. But this gentleman's talking about night diving, and I'm gonna tell you this story real quick. He talked about this moray eel, right? He was talking about the science of it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm near here diving at night, and they were telling you about, if you see an eel, right? What you have to understand is if you see an eel at nighttime and its mouth is open, you're safe because if its mouth is open, that's how it's funneling water and air and all those other good things." And he was like, "So I was in the water and I saw the eel and I'm trying to think to myself, mouth open, mouth closed, Papa this." I said, "Man, I'm going to tell you right there, you had me at if you see an eel." If you seen it, brother, you got it. This ain't, you know what? I'm not supposed to be here. My bad. I wasn't even supposed to be out this far. You own, you know what I'm saying? I'm in your space. I'm going to leave you alone. That's why, like, I never understood the whole people fear of sharks and things on those lines. I'm like, man, now again, like I said, my whole thing is that like Jaws. I never understood that the Jaws. I was like, or the Meg, which is a whole nother we can get into the whole story. But I'm like, if it rolls up on the beach, I get it, right? You know what I'm saying? The fear of shark. But if you take your behind, right, and let's say your privileged behind, because all of us who have had the opportunity to get further enough out to where sharks actually are, because that means someone had to take you out there on some type of vessel. And then for you to jump into the water to where that shark lives, that's on you. You did that to yourself. But no, so trust me, that darkness of water, man, it is wild. Because like I said, living on an island sometimes it's like crazy. Like, man, especially at nighttime you drive, like that water is very, very dark. But yeah, but so I feel you on that aspect. However, I do in the daytime it is beautiful. It's like one of the things about living out here, the water's very crystal clear and you can see to the bottom of it. And I've seen a lot of different fish when you go swimming. It is awesome. So yeah, I get it. I get the understanding of needing your feet to touch the ground, but I need you to be safe in the fact that, brother, you can swim. So you will be okay should your feet not touch the ground. So I just need your brain and your muscle memory to connect and be like, brother, we got that.
It don't.
All right, brothers. I appreciate y'all very much. This is Brother Noomsy. We'll see you next time. Thank you.